Hello and welcome to Cymatic TV. Yes, we've been away. We've been away for about must be 6 months now. I have a sister channel, it's called the Astroflower, where I do tarot reading. So I've been concentrating on that in the meantime. It is now coming up to scratch, as it were, and I'm back here on Cymatic TV to bring you the energy updates, the information according to energy, because energy is basically everything. It's what makes us go round, what makes the world spin, what makes us laugh, cry, succeed, fail. Everything is connected to everything, and it's all connected via energy. Don't believe, just know. Cymatic TV, turning vibration into reality. We're going to be going through a lot today because there's a lot been going on. There's a solar flare that's coming our direction. We're going to see how that's affecting the energies. We're also going to go into the earthquake sequences across the earth, tie them into the chakras on the ley line maps that I've done, which people who've been following this channel will have seen before, and also how it integrates within the greater human species, how we sort of do things and etc. How we sort of have our society and our connection between us in a very sort of physical way, and an emotional way, particularly more than anything else, I guess. Boy, it's been a long time since I've been doing it. I'm glad to see you back, actually. And I'm glad to be back. I really love doing this energy stuff. So I did it at a festival at Carfest, and that was absolutely amazing. So we're going to be going into that. We're going to be going into seeing how it affects the ley lines, the chakras across the globe. We're also going to be looking at the hurricane of Florida and how it ties into pole shift. That'll be coming up a little bit later on as well, and seeing how that's going to affect the energies within you and me, within your chakras, between your crown and your root chakra, and so forth. We're also going to be dowsing the line here, seeing what the energy is like itself. We're also going to be going through these chakra sequences that go through us, and also we're going to be getting a message from the earth. That'll be coming up at the end, and seeing what the earth, or the energy that flows through the universe, through the sun, through the earth, and through to us, the message it is bringing us. So without further ado, let's just get on with the show. Let's get firstly into that solar wave that's hitting us at this present second that I am recording this video. So let's just see the mechanics behind that and see the effects we get on us. So let's look now at the sun and see what's happened over this last week. First thing we're going to look at here, as you can well see, is the GOES X-ray flux. Now this has to do with the eruptions on the sun, and what we're looking at really more than anything else is those highs that come in within the M flare section on the X-ray flux, and we've seen that over the last 3 days. It's definitely been building up after a lull, and it's got to be said, August has not been that much, hasn't been as busy as we thought it would be in August. So here you can see in real time, as it were, the activity of the sun. You've got 4 different wavelengths in which to look at it, and you can see these eruptions as they come round the sun and how it affects us. Now, the more if it's a clean eruption, it's going to be affecting more the heart and etc. That's with a clean flash, usually in the M and the X flare range, which we saw in the last day, which was happened today. It was off the back of the sun, so it wasn't too much of a problem. But these are also, when it's nice and clean, it's very electrical. So that affects the sun. And then we have other ones, which you will see as well, which are filament eruptions. Before we had that wave, which we're going to go to in a little bit with a little bit more sort of detail, you can see a slight eruption just left to the zone that will be erupting on the right hand side, which will be hitting various planets before it gets hitting Mercury and Venus, before it gets to Earth. And we'll be going into that. But you can see this knock-on effect that happens across the sun. So as it builds up through the time, builds up through the day. And it usually goes in 3. So I'm expecting off the other end of this scale, another X flare, or more of like an X flare, or certainly an M flare, within the next sort of 12 hours before Monday UTC time, basically. But we will see anyway on the X-ray flux, or you will be able to see on the X-ray flux. So let's get into that solar flare that happened back on Friday. It was a prolonged, very low M flare, but it produced a lot of ejecta. As we saw on the sun here, you can see it's exploding, and there is a slight pop, a little pop afterwards, which I think is going to influence the effect it does have upon the Earth. And as it does affect the Earth, it's going to be affecting different frequencies throughout the Earth. Now, as I said, this has a little bit more in the way of plasma feel to it, so it's going to have a much more emotional drive to the energy behind it. So I would be wary this week of the emotional peaks and troughs that come through life. Try and level it out. Take off the little extremes. If we take off the extremes of the emotional high and the emotional low, we'll get to the middle band, and it helps to resolve situations a lot easier within your life. It also helps you to construct a lot easier, could even be sort of business as much as it is relationships and so forth. Now, this particular wave that's coming through, which we will be able to see on the Enroll spiral, let's just bring that up. Let's have a look at that. The Enroll spiral, as it goes towards planet Earth, and it goes through those each individual planets. So it comes through Mercury, which is trailing, just coming out of retrograde here, and trailing behind the Earth. But it hits, I would say, more Venus first because of the curvature of it all. And it sort of comes out at the same time as the sort of message that comes through. And I was doing a reading in this on the Astroflower, my sister channel, and the message that was coming out of it was we need to question our emotional attachments to the past and where we feel that we've been emotionally done wrong in the past, and we need to get over that. We need to deal with that in a very conscious way, realize that it is the past, and find a solution so we can go forward without that being a weight upon our backs as a collective, basically. So as this energy comes through Mercury slightly, that's that message that comes through that's connected to the heart, connected to our emotions, and it's emotionally charged, this vibration coming towards the Earth, the prana energy, and then it hits the Earth, which gives us the answer to the situation and how the Earth manifests its response to that vibration coming through. And we can see this on the earthquakes, which we will be seeing a little bit later on. But there is that second little explosion that I was talking about, and that is going to ask, that's another question, because it really would have taken into account Mercury more than Venus, anything else, and it's more a case of the message that comes through. And I think the message that comes through is, where do we go from here? Okay, so that is the sun and what's happening on the sun. What we've seen is there is a general uptick. I would expect this uptick to continue for the next sort of week, 10 days. So be very alert to that, because it will change the energies we go through, and we will see that also on what's happening on the hurricane as well. So I'm standing on the line at the moment, and there's a definite fizz to it. It's not particularly extraordinary, it's got to be said, but there's a definite fizz to it that was not normally there. It seems to be much more of it seems to be a lot more heavier weight into it, much more sort of a male energy than the female energy, because we're on a female line here, and we're with this spring, these thermal baths that are just behind me, and yeah, it's definitely got like butterflies in the stomach. That's the best way to describe it. So yeah, I think this is a certain effect, and this effect is provoking that question that I was talking about on the Astroflower. The question, the sort of what emotions it brings to the surface, the response we get from this question, and then the conclusion of how we take it forward. And I think this is now building up those sort of questions. So you might see that in the coming week. We'll see that on the chakra sequencing and the messages of the Earth at the end of that. Let's just go on to the earthquake and the chakras of the Earth. So here we see a map of the Earth, and we see the earthquakes that was on a Sunday. Very quiet generally. There's a little bit of going on around the Ring of Fire. Nothing really to shout and stand out about in according to chakras. There's a little bit heading up towards the heart chakra. Then we can see the following day, this changes. We get a step and a kick up with the energy here. The sun hasn't really kicked in, but then we have had coronal holes, which I didn't mention earlier on, and they are one of the main drivers of earthquakes. And we can see around the solar plexus area, we start seeing very, very large earthquakes in the Philippines, I think it is, in that section there. But also the interesting thing is we get the energy flowing across Europe and up towards the heart chakra. They get a few bits on the root chakra, but generally it's flowing across from the solar plexus into the heart. Now that's very interesting when we're going to be looking at the earth sequences, the chakra sequences on the earth energies later on in the show. And then the following day, this sort of goes back down to being calm. So this is on the Tuesday. So everything's starting to go back down and calm again. It is a breathing process that the earth goes through. This is where we get the calm almost absolute. We do have one that's interesting that's been down in Africa. I think it's in South Africa or Swaziland, around that sort of area there. And that's all to do part and parcel with the splitting of Africa through Ethiopia and what have you. Another topic for another show. But then we come back onto Thursday, and here it starts kicking up again, and the heart starts getting in, and certainly we can see a collection around the crown chakra. And the crown chakra and the solar plexus is now starting to play its part. As we come into Thursday, this is where the activity of the sun starts kicking off again. And as we do, this is that message. We get a very large earthquake, a 6.2 up in the top left-hand corner of the ring of fire, as it were. And this is next to the throat and third eye chakra. This is the message coming through from Mercury and giving us a clarification on all of that. And then after that, it plays back out towards the heart chakra, going across Iran and then going on to the Albanian and Greece border. And this is that frequency that's coming out. We have a little bit going on the root chakra, but this is where the heart starts really coming into play. And this is where Venus and that wave we were talking about really starts affecting everything at the moment. So we've had Mercury with that earthquake up by the throat chakra. Now we've had it down and towards the heart chakra. And this is what we have today in the making of this video. And it's followed right through, as you can well see. There's a little earthquake just above at the top left of Europe. Top left of the UK, top left of the heart chakra. And the rest of it is all calmed down in the ring of fire, to be honest. There's a little bit that it flows through into the Caribbean and what have you. But this is reiterating that wave as well that's coming through us. So we can see that there is something going on between the throat chakra and the heart chakra, most certainly. There's a multitude of other things that are going on at the same side, but that ties in with this wave of energy that seems to be coming through at the moment. It's playing on that sort of chakra and the earth sort of scenario, at the chakras of the sort of the throat and the heart at the moment, and it's bringing forward those ideas of emotions and stuff like that is coming forth within us, where we can really take into account what we've been doing and how, things we've done in the past. As you said, and maybe recognizing what we need to forgive ourselves about. That's quite interesting. Now let's get on to pole shift news as well. Now pole shift, I go into it extensively. I'm trying desperately to do some background information videos on it. It's not easy. If there's anybody out there who knows a lot about animation and video editing and so forth, I would appreciate your input into this sort of situation. But yeah, I'm working on those at the moment. And And so let's go into that so we see how that pole shift energy is affecting everything. And it's going to be affecting you and me because our energy works on a vertical energy, the crown and the root chakra, which is only one chakra. And then the horizontal energy, which is the third eye and the throat, which is one chakra, the heart, solar plexus, and the sacrum, and then the directional flow. And anybody who knows about electromagnetics will understand the left and right hand rule of things. So this is what we're dealing with, this sort of type of energy. And once you invert the poles, it's going to affect us. So yeah, let's just have a quick look of how that is affecting already the weather patterns, maybe, and maybe what's coming up in this coming week for us.
So let's get on to this hurricane energy and the pole shift energy. Basically, I was saying in one of my readings, on my Astroflower readings, which I do a tarot reading channel. You'll find a link to the channel described in the description below. And I was talking about that maybe there might be a hurricane hitting Europe and Northern Europe. And could this well be it? It'd be interesting to see. It's been funny energies that have been coming through in August that we've all had to deal with. And I did tie it into, and you'll see another video on there where I pulled some tarot cards according to this eruption that came through. And it creates this hurricane back in the 28th of August, 27th of August, something like that. And that was after a slight M flare, the first of the slight M flares. And then it sort of developed over Mexico. But normally it develops out in the Atlantic and goes slamming in. It's not always that way. And yes, we do get ones coming from the Gulf of Mexico going out across Florida. It's not something unusual. But the unusual thing that I find here is that it chased another hurricane that was coming in towards Florida, as we can well see on this video here, the time lapse of the wind on this time lapse here. As it started developing and pushing across, you can see the one to the right gradually being pushed away north past South and North Carolina up through into the northern states of America. And as we follow it through, it comes across Canada, it comes across Florida there, and then pushes it completely out. Now, this is where it would normally come to a stop, but it doesn't. Look at that big swirl that's developed in the northern part of the Atlantic, and it is pulling that hurricane now right across the Atlantic towards the UK and Western Europe. Now, one of the factors that we need in order for a hurricane to happen, not that I'm wishing it to happen, but one of the factors we need to have is this factor about the charged particles, ion particles, which we will see when we've got from the Sahara. So eventually, as the Saharan energy or the Saharan desert sands go out across the Atlantic, they mix with that high turbulent energy in hurricanes, and then that creates that electrical current force that goes between the earth and the atmosphere, and they need that in order for that hurricane to happen. But this time, if you look on the northern part of Africa and the southwestern part of Europe, you can see that sand coming up along the west coast of France through the heart chakra. And this is what I was saying, where the heart chakra is being affected as well. It's understanding the true mechanism of pole shift. Rather than hurricanes going into America in the future, once we go through the pole shift totally, and we are going through it at the moment, they will be slamming into Europe. And it is a sign that this is actually happening. And we are coming into this time now. So it's nothing to be scared of. It's a natural process. It's like pole shift is the best way to describe it, is when you do like a light switch or a lamp, and you put the plug on the lamp. You got to put the red wire to the left and the blue wire to the right, or whatever way it is. But if you invert those two lines, the lamp will still work. It just means the energy will flow in a different sense. And this flowing in a different sense is going to create different types of energies and different types of vibration within us as well. It's going to invert our energies. So the first will become last, the last will become first, males will become females, females will become males. The rich will become poor, the poor will become rich. It's an amazing time we're living in. Once we engage in that and understand the process and understand how it's actually affecting us and affecting the world around us, then we can engage in it in a very positive way, and we can use it to actually ascend and go forth. And to understand this, we really need to get into the rhythms of the earth. So without further ado, let me just go back to the ley line that I was dowsing earlier on, and we're going to dowse that and to see what is actually happening.
So this is the way I hold the rod. It's very simple. I could, to make it turn, if I want to turn the thing, I have to literally just do that. I have to move my hand in order to turn it. So we don't want to cheat, so we just leave it pivoting on the hand. If I really have to turn it, I can't do it because I have no influence upon it whatsoever, or I try to have as little influence as I can on it whatsoever. There is the springs just here. There's my cup of tea and my other rods. Now we're just going to be doing this line here. You're going to see it's going to be crossing in. We're coming in. There it goes. It's starting to pull in now, and there it is pulled in front of me. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And I think that's pretty much, and we're pretty much out. So let me just go back on through the other side. So here we go again, kicking it in, and there it kicks in now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then it's kicked out again. So we've come over to sit on the line. It's the female line. Let's get a bit more sort of detail about this line. I can feel it in its normal places. This is normally how I dowse rather than using dowsing rods. Dowsing rods are great, they're fantastic, but they're very simple things. There's nothing more better than your body to find out what is going on with the energy. Once you start dowsing with your body, all of a sudden things become a lot clearer. You get a lot of definition, a lot of texture, a lot of emotions, and so forth. And yeah, it feels very light, very clean as the line goes. It's very nice. It wants to talk as well. It really does. There's a good place for communication, I think, here at these thermal baths. Can you imagine the sort of conversations that were had in the days with this, when people came to the thermal baths? I should imagine it did chat quite a lot. Because they don't really, it's now gone past its time, as it were. We're in a modern world of telecommunications rather than thermal baths. I don't understand it either. So yeah, it's a really good type of energy, very chatty, very lively, very bright, breezy type of energy. Let's just go in and let's see what the chakra sequencing is for it. Let's just relax and start connecting our energy into the line. There we go, we've now got a complete connection. There we go, we've got the first, there's the entrance. It does go straight up to the throat. And slightly on the third eye, but more on the throat. Then it goes to the crown. There's almost something painful to look at in the third eye sort of scenario. It goes up to the crown, and we're now back down into the solar plexus. Into the root. And then the throat simultaneously comes straight back in. And it's almost like It is a blocking throat more than anything else. Now there's the heart. And it's almost like a soothing hand to the throat. This is really beautiful. And you get the solar plexus as well, which gives the affirmation to the heart. It gives it strength, gives it power and weight. Back up to the third eye. And that's where the logic is coming through. And we've got to see clearly the message that we want to receive from the universe. And there it goes back to zero. Okay, we'll go through that in a minute. Let's go through that. Actually, let's go through that now, because I want to get the message afterwards. Basically, what appears to have happened, it went pretty much straight to the throat, straight away. And it seems like this message seems to be coming through. It seems like people are, the dawning is happening to a lot of people, and they're starting to hear that message. Those who have ears, basically, will hear that message. And they are people are starting to really hear it, and they're hearing it from within. And it's not necessarily, for some people, it's not necessarily a message they want to hear. Other people, it'd be, yes, I've been waiting for this moment. Other people will be kind of going, all right, that's interesting. That's taking me further down the road. It depends on where you are on your journey. And then it went to the crown chakra, so you give a bit of sort of clarity on that. And then I think it went to didn't it go back to the throat chakra or the third eye? And then it went back down to the solar plexus as well. And that solar plexus is giving it sort of, in the first instance, because it went down to the root as well. And I think the first solar plexus instance was more of a case of almost like clarity, as if to sort of say, this is this is that is that, this is this sort of thing. And it gives us clarity of our emotions, of our judgment, of our connections to each other and everything that is around us. And then it went back up again to the throat, and that was a little bit blocking, and we didn't want to hear that we don't need to say anything. We need to visually see the clarification of this and see how we can go forward. And then that goes into the crown, and then it came back down to the heart, and this heart was then sort of, it's like, now you understand, so there, it was that sort of thing, so there, you understand now, there, and then, and then it went back down, I think, to the solar plexus, giving that weight, and as if like authority was turning around, sort of saying, yes, totally agree with the heart there, and then it went back down and eventually back up to the reconnection. So, look at life and see how this comes through with something that is said, gives you clarity of vision or clarity of thought, and then how does it play with the situation that this is this and that is that. And then sort of see, if you see it and you kind of go, well, it's not what I thought it was. That's when you may feel like it's blocked. It's difficult to say things. So therefore you revert to the third eye and you see the situation that is going on around you. You realise what you have to do, and then you get that, oh, well done, there, or good sort of scenario that comes through you, and you affirm it and you live it. And these can be small situations as large situations. Just whatever you sort of want to put it into your life, basically. Okay, let's get on to the message now from the earth. Let's just see if we can get a message out of this. So we're just reconnecting there because we went off into a bit of a tangent. There we go. Just kicks right in. It's really nice. Excuse me. Now we can visit the earth and see what her message is. If you can't be honest with yourself, who can you be honest with? Hear thy own words. even when you're wrong, you're right. It's like, this is it. Sometimes it's difficult to hear our own message from within. You know, when we know it's right or know something, you know, for saving face or whatever it is that people do, diverts us from that truth and diverts us from enacting and being who we should be. And we don't like saying we're wrong. That's so bad. That is so bad. If we can't recognise when we're wrong, we're in a really bad place. And this is where I think we need to sort of get into that and start recognising that a little bit more. And recognising how it sort of plays into our favour if we so desire. When we recognise that, you know, I felt like this, I heard those messages and I didn't act upon it. And it doesn't matter where you are in the journey, we all have it. You know, don't try and pretend you don't. No one's a saint here. We're only a saint when we get back up there. You know what I mean? Down here, you know, it's not the same sort of kettle of fish. So, you know, we all have that, so don't worry about it. But once you can recognise that, I think it's good and just to act upon it, because then you won't keep doing it again and again and again. And I think this is where the earth is sort of saying, don't be frightened of your own answers, of your own voice. You know, don't be frightened of getting it wrong. Be frightened of not taking part. That's the main thing. So yeah, the energy that's coming up through this week as well, I think is a real learning curve for everybody. Collectively and individually. Just going through geologically, seeing if there's anything that should be nothing for this week, but we'll see next week. There's a few things on the west coast of the Americas, not just the USA, the Americas, going right along that red line on the ley line energy map that I've got. Yeah, so see how it goes. You know, try and enact that rhythm within your life, how you approach situations within that chakra sequencing, and see how it unrolls before you. You know, I think you'll be surprised at how easy it can be once you get into that rhythm and get into that sync with the things. Okay, I'm going to be doing workshops in the UK, in the US, and in Australia. Last chance to put your name down. Well, not a last chance, but I will be sending out the information this week for the workshops. So if you really want to get in on those early bird sort of situations, do send me an email. The link is in the email is down in the description. Send me an email so I can give you the information of where those workshops are going to be. Okay? Yeah. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. In the meantime, thank you very much for being here and showing your support for this channel. Really do appreciate it. You can go and find me as well on the Astroflower. In the meantime, all I can say to you about energy is don't believe, just know.